Hey friends, it's Dimitri with Rubashka Streetwear. Today's video is called Quality is Free. So that might sound a little bit strange and weird, and it's actually taken, that phrase is taken from a book written a while back about manufacturing, and some of the things I'm going to talk about in this today is pretty much related to that. So I divided the term quality into two large spheres. So a lot of you might already know that it's definitely related to the product, but there's this whole other half in your brand that you might not think about as much in terms of quality or give as much detailed thought, and that's the actual brand experience. So, that could be as simple as when a customer goes onto your website, what are they seeing? How are they interacting with your brand, the packaging, all that kind of stuff. So, but we're going to start off and talk about the actual product. So how can you get more quality or give more quality to your customer without actually spending money? And that's what I mean by free. And I will kind of say another thing. So what I mean by free is that all this stuff, basically it might require more learning from you, a little bit more time. And depending on your situation, it might be a very marginal cost, but at the end of the day, most of this stuff is basically free. It's stuff that you could do right now, and it's going to make the quality of your product and the quality of your brand experience go up. So you're basically not really going to be having to invest a lot of stuff or money into pumping up the quality of your brand. So the first way that you can get more quality out of your product is to get a good manufacturer. So this is something that I recently did. You guys can watch videos about that. In the past, I had a manufacturer or a printer, and they were just not getting to the quality standard that I needed. And then I found another printer that had a way better quality standard, and the price was basically the same. So all I did was I went out and researched and kind of developed a better relationship with the new printer, and therefore the quality of my products went up because they're making less defects. They get stuff faster, like a faster turnaround time, which means I can deliver products to the customers in a orderly and fast time rather than my previous printers where they're more sloppy, bad communications, and they wouldn't get stuff on time. So then those delays would get dragged into the customer. So finding a good manufacturer or switching to one that's good is really important, and that basically doesn't really cost. Let's say like you're in my situation and you have a manufacturer printer and they're just not living up to expectations, but you find one that's the same price but they're better, the quality is better, you're not spending really any money to make that switch. So that's why that situation would be free. Communication is also a way to boost communication is also a way to boost the quality of your product, and I'll explain what that means. So when you are sending files to your manufacturer printer to tell them, hey, do this and that, if you do not communicate exactly what you want on there, like, hey, print it this far down from the color, make sure you use this color ink, not this one, it can alter the overall quality of your product. They might be printing with the wrong ink, they might be using the wrong color of t-shirt. All sorts of stuff can happen if you're not clearly communicating with your printer or manufacturer. So make sure that you kind of learn how to do that effectively. And there's, a whole lot of stuff on YouTube for free, how to communicate clearly, especially with vendors and manufacturers and stuff like that. So figure that part out. Make sure that you're saying exactly what you want and over communicate the important details on what you want to manufacture. And that can actually increase the quality of your product as well, because you're not going to have delays. You're not going to be losing funds to reinvest into your brand and stuff like that. So looking at the little details on how you communicate is very, very important. Some of you guys might be printing or embroidering or manufacturing basically your own clothing. So one thing that's important is the inks. Sometimes there's inks that are better or worse, and you might find an ink that's better quality and it's more durable, but it's the same price, you kind of have to look around and shop around. That's why it's important. And test it too. Sometimes you might use an ink that you think is good, but after like 4 washes, it totally fades. It's not good. So one thing that you might want to do before you jump headfirst into that is do some product testing yourself. Print a t-shirt, wear it a lot, wash it a lot, see how it degrades. Let's say that you find, after you do that, you find another ink that's the same price, and you're like, okay, let's test this one out, and you do the same thing, but that ink lasts twice as long with washes. Well, that's another example of how you can boost the quality of your t-shirt in the long run for the customer. That ink is not going to crack as much, it's going to last longer, and you really aren't spending more money on that kind of stuff because you shopped around and you kind of had open eyes for that. One very, very simple way that you can boost your product's quality is by being a little bit more attentive to detail. So that means like lint, loose threads, tag remnants. So when you are packing and folding and printing and all that kind of stuff, you want to keep your environment as clean as possible, but inevitably there's going to be lint, there's going to be all sorts of stuff that is getting clung onto the clothing. So really taking a few seconds to lint roll your t-shirt. If you see like loose threads everywhere, cut a couple of them off. A lot of t-shirts, if you get blanks, they have removable tags, but when you remove them, the tag does not always go, the entire thing doesn't go away. Make sure that you get that tiny little piece that might be stuck into the collar, get that out. That's going to improve the overall quality of your brand. And doing these really small things really matter. Like imagine if you get a t-shirt and it comes to you and all of this stuff is on it. It doesn't really look as good. And to do all this is just very, very, marginal effort. You're not investing in buying stuff to do that really. You can do that for free right now. Anyone can do that. One other way of increasing the product quality is making sure it's folded right. Believe it or not, some people just fold stuff really sloppy. They might not put it into a poly bag or anything. They just toss it into the poly mailer and send it out. That's not a good way to sell clothing to your customer. You want stuff to be as neat as possible. Package everything right. Use a t-shirt folder, and you can watch videos about that I have made. Don't pass along defects is another one. So inevitably, no matter how good your manufacturing process is, no matter how good the blanks you're using, there is going to be a small margin of error. There are going to be t-shirts that have small defects, and your best bet is to catch them early on and not send them to the customer. And this one right here, it kind of goes into brand experience. So let's say that you have a defective t-shirt and the customer buys it and you send it out, but you didn't catch it. Well, that's going to ruin their overall brand experience. So for one, they're not going to be able to wear that t-shirt right away, and maybe they want to. Then they're going to have to go email you. Then you're going to have to either have them send it back to you, or you send them a replacement. I suggest that you just let them keep it, and they can wear it if they want, give it to a friend, sell it. And then after that point, you send them a replacement t-shirt. That way they don't have to go through the hassle of going to the post office and doing all that. But regardless, they're going to have to wait longer. They're going to, not be able to wear a t-shirt right away, and they're going to be a little bit disappointed, even if they, and that might inhibit them from returning as a customer. So really make sure, especially in your first orders, don't pass defects and don't do all this kind of stuff right here, all this bad stuff. And it's going to, like I said, increase the quality of your brand, and it's all basically free. Another thing that's kind of related to like folding the clothes is just packaging your clothing in general. You don't want to just shove a t-shirt into a poly mailer and it's all crumpled up and stuff. And one video I made before is, how I take time to put the sticker into the bag and have it all folded up neatly. I don't just toss stickers into the bag, because when they get shipped, they're going to get all dented and creased. And that way it helps stickers stay flat and other, small accessories that a customer might purchase. So really think about that kind of stuff. And really, it doesn't cost me anything to do that. It just takes a couple extra seconds to do that. So those are several ways that you can increase the quality of the actual product without spending really any money. You can do all this stuff today for free. Really, it just takes a little bit of commitment and a little bit extra time to do that. But doing all those things will make your customer happier, and it shows that you care about your product. Even like with the packaging, I don't like sloppily tape boxes together. I use the correct amount of tape. I don't over tape it. I don't over package it so that it's kind of a pain in the butt for the customer to open it. One thing that happens is that, let's say a customer orders, I sell books, so they order a book and a t-shirt. What I do is I package it in a certain way where I don't have to, I put like bubble wrap around the book, but I don't put a bunch of tape on it. I don't put any tape at all. I package it in a way where they can get it and just unfold it. They don't have to go through and cut everything like that. It's those little tiny details that matter. And imagine this. Imagine if you didn't do any of this. All this crap is basically, embedded into your product, and it makes it worse. Now imagine you did all this stuff. You remove the lint, you remove loose threads, you have good communication, you found a better ink, all this kind of stuff. Your brand quality shoots up, and that's a good thing. So now on to part 2,